Hey everybody, and welcome to Project Premium Harvest. My name is Matt. In today's video, we're going to be going over the YieldMax weekly pairs in addition to the YieldMax Group C fund. We're going to be talking about the April 4th distribution. We're going to be talking about the total fund performance and an unbiased analysis if these funds are good or not. But before we begin, I'm going to talk about my account value. The current account value is $97,447.10. I'm going to give a little 3 cents about the market. It was interesting to see the market today that during trading hours when the tariffs were announced, nothing bad happened. Market was actually in the positive. But the second the after hours hit, all the hedge funds just freaking pulled their money out and we couldn't do anything about it. It's crazy how that works, but I just want to throw that out there. Interesting to see. But now let's go over to the actual reason why you're here, the spreadsheets, the numbers, and the analysis. All right, guys. So kicking off with the GPTY, the inception price was $50 a share. And the all-time high was also $50 a share. The distribution that's going to be paid out for April 4th is going to be 26 cents a share. And currently GPTY is trading at that $40.29 range. This fund has paid out a total of $2.66 in distributions, and there have been 9 distributions thus far. And if you look at the average distribution per share, it's about 29, almost 30 cents a share. And if you do that over a month period, so multiply that by 4, depending on if there's 4 payments or 5 payments, that's between $1.20 to $1.50 distribution per month, which is actually quite high. So now let's look at the numbers that make a determination if this is a good fund or not to invest in. So these numbers are going to be the same for the inception and the all-time high because it's the same number. So the share price changing value is negative 19.42%, which is not that good, but we will say that there is a correction market, and depending on how long this correction market goes, might be a bear market and even a recession. Who knows how far it's going to go. But if we look at the total return, so basically taking that total premium in addition to like adding that to that share price, we're getting a negative 14.08. So the numbers are not positive, but I think it's too early to make a determination if this fund is good or not. And the last data point, the average share price is about $43.74 a share. Okay, moving on to LFGY. So for LFGY, I believe the inception price was that $52 a share, and the all-time high was $53.96. The April 4th distribution is going to be about 41 cents a share, and the current share price is trading at $35.49. This fund has been incepted a little bit longer than GPTY, and it has incepted back in January 24th, 2025. And the total premium that has been paid out since this fund has been incepted is about $5.92 a share. If you look at the number of distributions, it is 11, and this is important because we're going to come up with the average distribution. And the average distribution, if you're owning this fund per week, is about 53 cents a share. Now let's make a determination if this is a good fund. Since the share price change in value since its inception, it's negative 31.75%. And the total return, basically also adding in that total premium, makes it a little bit better, but it's still a negative 20.35%. And then if we look at the all-time high numbers, while using that $53.96, the numbers are a little bit more grim. The all-time high is the share price change in value is negative 34.23%, and the total return, basically throwing in that total premium, is negative 23.24%. So negative numbers, never a good thing. It's too early to tell. We'll see in 6 months from now to a year. The average share price is about $43.35 a share. Moving on to QDTY. Okay, so for QDTY, the inception price was $50 a share, and the all-time high was also $50 a share. This fund is going to pay a distribution of 26 cents a share, and the share price is currently trading at that $43.88 mark. This fund has been out or received its first distribution payment February 28th, 2025. And with that being said, the total premium paid out thus far is $1.57. The number of distributions has been 6. And if we look at the average distribution per share, it's about 26 cents per distribution per share. Look at the share price change in value since inception. It is negative 12.24%. So not very good. But then if we look at the total return, it's a little bit better. It's at the 9.09%. So it is a little bit better. And if you look at the return of the stock market right now, I believe it's like negative 7%. Let me pull up my Robinhood real quick. Yeah, and looking at the S&P 500 from the year to date, so like the last 3 months, it's negative 6.85%. So it's doing a little bit worse than the S&P 500, but not too bad because it is also a distribution paying fund. So something to think about. Moving over to RDTY. RDTY has been accepted at that $50 strike price, and the all-time high was also $50 a share. For the April 4th distribution, it's going to be about 33 cents, and the current share price is trading at that 47.62 range. If you look at the total premium is about 95 cents, so not even $1, but we're getting there. There have been 3 total distributions, and if we look at the average distribution is about 31 cents a share, which is on par with what we're seeing. The share price change in value since inception, it's only been out for about 3 weeks now, is negative 4.76%. And the total return, if we throw in the distributions or the premium in there as well, it's negative 2.84%. And then the all-time high numbers will be exactly the same as inception numbers because it never appreciated past that $50 inception price. And with that being said, the average share price for this fund is about $48.86 per share. All right, so this one, SDTY, is more so in line and parallel with the S&P 500. So we'll do a side-by-side comparison. Which one's better, SDTY or the S&P 500? Will be interesting. So the inception price was $50 a share, and the all-time high was also $50 a share. The distribution payment for April 4th is going to be 27.23, so almost 28 cents. And since its inception back in February 21st, it has paid out a distribution of $1.61, and there have been 7 distribution payments. If we look at the average distribution, so what's paid out every single week, it's about 23 cents a share. And if you look at the share price change in value since that $50 inception price, it's negative 9.16%. However, if we also throw in that total premium, the numbers look a little bit better. It's negative 5.94%. And then the all-time high numbers will look exactly the same as the inception numbers because SDTY has not appreciated past that $50 inception price. And lastly, the average share price for SDTY is about $46.94. All right, now going over ULTY. This one has been out for quite some time, and let's dive into what we are seeing here. So ULTY, the inception price was $20 a share, and the all-time high was also $20 a share. The April 4th distribution payment is going to be 9 cents per share. So not very big at all, but it is what it is. The current share price for ULTY is about $5.86 a share. And if we scroll down to the total premium, since this fund has been incepted back in March 13th, 2024, so it's been out for over a year now, it's about $11.98 a share, and there have been 17 payments from this fund. Look at the average distribution, and it seems pretty high at that 70-cent mark, but this fund used to be a monthly payer, but now in 2025, it turned into a weekly payer. And this is where the numbers get interesting. So the share price changing value since inception, it's negative 70.7%. And the total return, basically taking that total premium and then adding it into that share price, it's negative 10.78%. So it doesn't look too bad on paper. However, I will say this, I don't know exactly the return of capital for this fund. So if you had this into a tax advantage account, like a Roth IRA or traditional IRA, your tax burden isn't going to be too bad. But if you had this into a brokerage, this is where it might potentially get interesting. This might not be your case depending on when you bought in, but I'm just throwing this out here as a warning to the wise that depending on the return of capital, even though you're negative 10% or negative 70%, you're still going to have to pay taxes on a portion of those distributions that aren't covered by return of capital, if that makes sense. Some people, they're going to listen to this and be like, oh, that's interesting, I'll be careful. Other people just have to get bit by the tax man. So just throwing that out there. But if you look at the all-time high numbers, it's also going to be the same as the inception numbers because the ULTY has never appreciated past that $20 inception price, and it's negative 70.7, and then the total return also negative 10.78. The average share price for ULTY is $10.16 a share. Alrighty, now let's go over to YMAX. So YMAX is going to be quite interesting, but let's just go through the numbers and we'll make the comparison when we get there. So YMAX inception price $20 a share, all-time high $21.68 a share. The April fourth distribution is going to be 17 cents a share, and YMAX is currently trading at $13.10. This fund has been out since February 2024 and has paid a total distribution of $9.70. This fund has paid out about 36 distributions. Some of it was a monthly, some of it was a weekly. That's why the numbers seem a little bit different or higher. But the average distribution since this fund has been incepted was about 26 cents a share. And then the share price change in value since the inception was negative 34.50%. So this number looks bad, but once we throw in the distribution, it would actually look a lot better. So once we do look at the total return, we're actually positive 14.04%. And I'm just going to make this quick comparison, right? This isn't counting for like dripping every time you get a, distribution payment or premium payment. This is just the raw total premium and the raw share price. So technically you could be getting better than this, but this is just, I'm trying to simplify the math and make it easy for everybody. But like we saw earlier for SPY, YMAX over the last year has actually outperformed the SPY. So let's take a look. So these numbers, yep, 14%, whoopsies, 14%. And then if we look at the all-time high numbers, if it's negative 39.58%. And then if we look at the total return, if we invested at the all-time high, it's 5%. Let's just take a look at what this looks like, comparing it to SPY. Okay, so looking back at SPY over the last year period, it's only up 5.94%, and YMAX is actually up 14% if you look at total return. So YMAX, even with all of its NAV erosion, is outperforming in a total return aspect, outperforming the S&P 500. So just something to note there. It's quite interesting. ULTY can't say the same, but YMAX and YMAG have a case. Speaking of YMAG, let's go talk about it. All right, now that we're at YMAG, inception price $20 a share. The all-time high is also $21.63. For the April 4th distribution is going to be 9 cents a share, almost 10 cents a share, which is quite interesting because it's similar to ULTY. But moving down to the premium, the total premium since this fund has been incepted back in February 20th, 2024 is about $8.69 a share. And there have been, just like YMAX, 36 payments. Look at the average distribution is about 24 cents a share, so about 2 cents less than YMAX every single week. And the share price change in value since the inception is negative 26.25%. But if we throw in the total premium in addition to that calculation, we're actually positive 17.24%, which is, like I said, outperforming the S&P 500, which was quite interesting. I got curious to see like, hey, I wonder what this performance looks like, and it's doing better, which was quite interesting. So there is a case for these funds to be successful. But if you look at the all-time high number of that, $21.63 into this calculation, the share price change in value is negative 31.81%. And if we throw in the distribution into that calculation, we're actually positive 8%. So if you invested at the absolute all-time high, you are still out positive with this fund. All right, guys, let's go over to the Group C pairs. The first Group C pair that we're going to go over is CONY. CONY was incepted at that $20 price, and then its all-time high was $27.29. The April 4th distribution is going to be 44 cents a share, and the current share price is trading about $7.59. Since this fund has been incepted back in October 16th, 2023, it has paid out $27.96 of distributions, and that's a number of 19 distributions. The average distribution is about $1.47. And now let's make a determination with the NAV and the total return. So if you look at just the NAV, the share price change in value, it's negative 62.05%. So you look at this, you're like, wow, this is not that good. But if we look at the total return since inception, it's actually positive 77.77%, which is phenomenal. And if we look at the share price change in value at the all-time high number, it's negative 72.19%, but then the total return is negative 30.28%. So it's quite interesting how those numbers can change. So if you invest it at the absolute worst time, you are still going to make your money back. And CONY is a pretty good investment if you were to ask me, looking at an unbiased data on this spreadsheet. And the average share price for this fund is about $17.76. Wow, CONY is surprising. Shout out to anyone that owns CONY. For fiat, the fiat inception price was $20 a share and the all-time high was $22.69 a share. The April 4th distribution is going to be about 92 cents and the share price is about $9.74. So this is an inverse fund. Therefore, because the market's going down, the share price is going to go up. So that's how this operates. The total premium is about $9.43 a share and the number of distributions is 9. And if you look at the average distribution, it's about $1.04 per share. And then if we look at the share price change in value since when this fund was accepted at that $20 mark, we're negative 51.3%. But if we throw in the premium in addition to that share price, we are still down negative 4.13%. So looking at this best buy-in, I don't like investing into reverse funds. That's just kind of, I'm always very bullish on the market. Happens to be right now we're in a correction, but eventually we'll get out of the correction and then I'm pro bull again. I don't like investing in these reverse funds. If we look at the share price changing value since the all-time high at that $22.69 mark, we are negative 57.07. And then the total return, if we basically take in that premium and add it in there, it's negative 15.50%. Therefore, I'm seeing double negatives for inception and for all-time high. I would not invest into it. But with that being said, the average share price is $11.81 a share. Now let's go over to MSFO, so Microsoft's or YieldMax Microsoft's option strategy. The inception price was $20 a share and the all-time high was $23.30 a share. For the April 4th declaration and distribution, it's going to be about 33 cents. And the current share price is trading at that $16.04 range. This fund was incepted back in October 16th, 2023, and it has paid out a total distribution of $9.17 a share with 19 different distribution payments. If we look at what the average distribution is for this fund, it's about 48 cents a share. And if we look at the change in value since the inception price, we're negative 19.8%. So not very good. But if we look at the total return, taking into consideration that inception price of $20, we were positive 26.08%. So that is pretty good. Positive number is very good. If we look at the share price change in value from the all-time high number, it's going to be a little bit worse. It's negative 31.16%. But if we throw in that total premium in addition to that share price, the total return is closer to 8.22%. So therefore, if you bought in at a decent time and versus the all-time worst time, the all-time high, you're still making money, you're still positive, I would give my seal of approval. I don't have one, but I'm imagining I have one. Boom. All right, and the average share price is about $20.09 a share. Moving over to AMDY. For AMDY, the inception price, like most of these YieldMax funds, were $20 a share, and the all-time high was $23.62 a share. And for the April 4th distribution is about 28 cents. And this fund is trading around $7.57 range. This fund was incepted back in November 16th, 2023. And it has paid out a total distribution of $13.93. And with that distribution, it paid out 18 distribution payments. Just double checking. And then the average distribution is about 77 cents a share. Since this fund incepted, it is negative 26, dyslexic, negative 62.15%. But if we throw in the total premium in addition to that share price calculation, we are positive 7.50%. But if we look at the share price change in value with the all-time high number of that $23.62, you're negative 67.95%. So it's about, 5% worse. And the total return is also worse, and it's negative 8.97%. With that being said, average share price, $15.20 a share. Would I invest in this fund? No. All right. NFLY, Netflixy. Inception price, $20 a share. The all-time high, also $20 a share because it never appreciated past the inception price. Not a good thing, but it is what it is. The April 4th declaration and distribution payment is going to be 60 cents a share and is currently trading around $16.38 a share. Moving on to the total distribution since its inception back in September 18th, 2023, is about $13.91. If you look at the number of distributions, it's about 20 distributions. And then the average distribution per payment is about 69 cents. And if you look at the share price change in value since the inception, it's negative 18.1%. But if we throw in that distribution in addition to that share price, we're actually positive 51.45%, which is really good. Now let's look at if we invested at the all-time high, which is going to be the exact same numbers, because the all-time high was the inception price. Cool. The average share price is $17.30, and I'm seeing a positive number for this fund. Would I invest to it? Yes. However, I will make this caveat. I like the Kurv NFLP a lot better. Is it appreciating 51%? I think we'll have to, let me double check actually. I have the data. Why wouldn't I check it? All right, let's look at that NFLP, guys. Let me change this here. Bingo. Okay, so this is, if we look at NFLP, guys, we are at positive 83.38%, and even at the worst time in the market, it's 23.44%. NFLP from Kurv is better. I would invest in this one. Okay, moving forward. ABNY. We're getting near the end, guys. Bear with me. So the ABNY inception price, $20 a share. All-time high, also $20 a share. Never appreciated past inception. April distribution payment is going to be 37 cents a share, and the share price is $12.80 a share. This fund has been incepted back in August 8th, 2024. And this total premium for this fund is about $4.98 with 9 distribution payments. The average distribution for ABNY is about 55 cents a share. And if we look at the NAV, or the share price change in value since the inception price, negative 36%. No one ever likes looking at this negative number. So let's throw in that distribution, negative 11.06%. Not looking good, because since the inception price was the all-time high number, this is the result. ABNY, would I invest into it? No. One more thing, average share price, $14.86. Now we have 2 more. PYPY. PYPY inception price, $20 a share. All-time high, also $20 a share. The April 4th distribution is going to be 35 cents, and PYPY is trading at that $12.79 mark. This fund has been incepted back in November 16th, 2023. And it has paid out a total of $11.68. If you look at the number of distributions, it paid out 18 different times, and the average distribution is about 64 cents a share. Now let's talk about the NAV and the share price change in value since the inception. It is negative 36.05%. Now let's throw in the total premium. If we add in the total premium to PYPY, you're positive 22.35%. And then the all-time high numbers are going to be exactly the same as the inception numbers, because it never went past that all-time high. And the average share price for PYPY is about $17.40 a share. All right, last one, guys. Here we go. Let me move over a few. Boom. CVNY. Been out for 2 months, 2 payments. The April 4th distribution payment is going to be $2.97, and the current share price is trading around $39.38. Even though it's been only 2 months, it's already paid out $6.88 in distribution. Like I said, 2 months, 2 distributions. The average distribution payment is about $3.44, and the share price change in value since the inception, also known as NAV, negative 21.24%. But if we throw the distribution in there, it's still a negative number. Negative 7.47%. So not very good. But if we look at the all-time high numbers, it's not going to be any better, because if the inception's a negative, the all-time high is also going to be a negative. The all-time high share price change in value, negative 30.85%. And then with the premium, it's negative 18.77%. The average share price is $37.43. That wraps up all of the funds for the YieldMax weekly pairs and the YieldMax Group C. Now let's go back to Robinhood for my final words. All right, guys, so we just wrapped up this video for the YieldMax weekly pairs. Nothing has really surprised me, and nothing really has changed from the previous week. We're still trending in a downward market. Therefore, some of these funds are going to be suffering a little bit, like the newer funds that came out, like GPTY, LFGY, SDTY, etc. All right. But the one thing that was interesting to see was YMAX and YMAG both outperforming the S&P 500 if we looked at it for the past year, if we look at total return. So that was quite interesting. It almost makes me regret selling out of my YMAX and YMAG. But I think if I were to buy back into these funds, I think I would purchase them in my Roth IRA. So I just funded my Roth IRA. So I'm thinking about potentially buying some MSTY and some YMAX, maybe YMAG. We'll see how it plays out. But now let's talk about the YieldMax Group C. For the YieldMax Group C, CONY continues to perform like a monster. It's up 77% if you bought in at inception. And of course, you're going to be buying in at better prices because it's continuing to go down. Therefore, CONY is the one that is leading the charge. Would I invest into it? Yes. Some honorable mentions, MSFO, NFLY, and what was the other one? PYPY. Honorable mentions. They're definitely on my radar, but they're not like super performers like a CONY or a MSTY, or it has the stability of like YMAX. I like the YMAX and YMAG because it kind of spreads out the risk a little bit versus if you invest into one specific fund like CONY, your single stock risk. Not saying it's a bad thing, but it's kind of mix up the portfolio. Just don't put all of your eggs in one basket. And I think that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully I made an impact where you guys looked at the numbers and kind of made a realization if these are good investments or bad investments. That's the whole point of these videos, is to give you unbiased data. I'll throw an opinion in there here and there just from what I'm thinking, just so you guys know how I am thinking. But end of the day, the spreadsheets don't lie. The numbers are the numbers. Yeah, hope you're all doing well out there. Matt out, and I will see you at the next video.